fun and camaraderie. And we're just excited to have everybody back for a full day tomorrow morning. We're going to start at 8 o'clock. If there's any board members who want to attend, this will be the first time that everybody will be together. And it's at Turner?
To Kelly.
At
I
Kelly.
apologize. It's a little bit earlier, but our PD, our professional development, is packed full. I pretty much had to ask the admin team to sneak me in between 8 and 9 or 8 to 9:30. So, and hopefully we'll have a guest speaker there too.
Okay. We have our back to school event. Dr. Joe will be talking about that. Students come back next week. We're excited about that. Compared to where we were last year with a lot of staff not here to start the school, we have our full, we have everybody that we need academically, really. We have our social workers, psychologists, all the staff is there. We're just waiting for a director of finance, which we hope to have one after tonight. That's exciting considering all the shortages that are out of teachers and administrators out there. So we feel very fortunate. We will have our second grade moving back from Turner to Kelly. That's going to be starting. So far, so good. I haven't heard any, knock on wood, any blips for that. Lots of things going on. We're so excited that we can start our school year. Thank you to Matt and the whole team for our to get our contract with the teachers in place for the next 5 years. So lots of things to be excited about. Sad things. Just if we wanted to have a moment of silence for Ashley Cohen's brother, who passed away suddenly. So we just our thoughts and prayers are with you. Monica plans on being here, but she may be late.
She is here now.
Oh, there you are. Okay, Monica. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
All right.
Hello.
So, and Taj will probably be joining us in the middle of all of this. So, thank you, everybody. Get excited to start our whole new academic year, and I'm going to thank Dr. Joe for all of his work for covering, going and finding, covering everything administratively over the last few months. So,
I want to thank the team. The team definitely covered down the admin team. So, thank you.
I have to go get my other cord. It doesn't fit.
So next is solicitors update. Was coming, so this is the first month we haven't had an executive session.
You unplugged us.
Oh, did I?
Something happened to us.
Are we back now?
Can you hear us now?
Yep.
Okay, well, you're looking at me though. Let's fix that.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
Superintendent's update.
Just a couple of things. Last week we did have if you have it up, it don't matter. The ILT, we had professional development day with that group, and we went over a couple things: leadership, collaboration, and teamwork. And we also had an activity where we had started, and we're going to complete. And Jermaine knows this. In the military, we use a creed, an NCO creed, and an oath. And we worked as a team to create one together for us, like an educator creed, a WSD educator creed. So we're in the process of finalizing that. We had great representation from the staff, and they were very involved all day, engaged all day, and we appreciate their participation. It was a really, really good day. And I know Ed thought I looked tired last week. We had a busy Tuesday, but it was a a really good Tuesday. It turned out really well. Our new teacher orientation was put together by Ms. Pettis and the rest of the admin team, both principals and Ms. Mosso. They led it yesterday, and it went off very well. Everybody participated. We got some little gifts for them to welcome them back. And tomorrow, again, is the first day. And again, I apologize, it's a little bit early in the morning for the welcome back. We're hoping to have the guest speaker, if all works well. He's going to try to be there between 8 and 9 as well. Our back to school bash, remember, is on Friday, August 25th from 3 to 6 p.m. And it's at Turner this year. So for families out there, it's usually held here at Central Office. It's the first year we are going to hold it at Turner. So we've had a lot of donations. The team has, planned appropriately. Everything's been ready to go. So hopefully, a good representation there. Today, I ended up running to Monroeville to pick up some more backpacks. We've had a lot of backpack donations this year. I just want to shout out to these people. Jesse Cohen from R&R Tire in Monroeville. This is the second year that they've donated backpacks to us. Alicia Holcha from the Home Genius Exteriors, and Ruth Kittner, which she does every year as well, as the Wilkinsburg Community Ministry, donating backpacks. We have tons of backpacks to give out. We have some prizes to give out on Friday, so we're looking forward to that. And of course, the start of the school year next Tuesday with the students in the classroom. So I know myself, it was a busy summer, and I want to thank definitely our admin team, but I also want to thank the maintenance and custodial staff, Mr. Rosiak and his team, to get the buildings ready. And I know they were busy as well. We were all busy. That's why it's hard for me to complain. It's just sometimes that happens and things happen. And we're hoping to have our teammate back, Ms. Pendro, back this week. So
Yay.
maybe as soon as tomorrow. So we're hoping to have a very essential teammate back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trust me, looking forward to it. So,
Welcome back, Summer.
yeah. So, and just two other things. The conference we attended 2 weeks ago. That was 2 weeks already.
Was it last week? It was the week
Was that last-
before.
yeah.
Yeah, the week. Yeah.
So it was a really good conference. And I know, some charter schools put it on. There was some good information that we got out. I've made some good connections for future positions possibly. And then Ashley and I attended the gala, which we think some of our staff should be attending that gala next year because we might be nominating a few people. So we learned a lot, and our staff learned a lot. And as I mentioned before, we learned a lot from Nikki Giovanni.
Yeah.
I explained to them earlier. It was.
She does not hold back.
She
No,
did.
Doesn't sound like
Not at all.
She did not hold
When you make it that far, you say what you want.
Yeah.
Because she said what she wanted.
That's what
Did
Dr.
say what
Joe
she
was
wanted.
saying.
She said whatever she wanted.
It
So,
was sometimes a little uncomfortable.
yeah,
He was even blushing when he was
Yeah.
telling
I was blushing a little bit. Yeah. So, but it was good. It was good. Lastly, I know we've been busy. I know this summer. I mean, not having summer is one thing, but not, with the finance business. And I've mentioned it before, but it's more and more, with Deb's support on that. I'm our board president, working with JMA, going through the interviews, going through detail, which, time-wise is tough for me, but also the knowledge and experience. And I appreciate the time and the effort. Again, just making sure we're doing the right things and we're moving in the right direction when it comes to the finances of the district. So, and we did have a finance meeting right before this to discuss some of those things. So I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, we can move right on then to committee reports. The Kelly renovation ad hoc committee report, what are we calling ourselves now? I don't know.
Now possible Turner expansion. Ed, do you want me to speak to this?
Oh, yeah. Would you, Dennis?
Sure.
While you're at it. Whoops, I need to mute something. Tell me my name.
All right. And our co-chair with this. So this, we talked to Bill Cray. Actually, we had a meeting with him and we did an updated inventory of classrooms and specials, cafeteria, gym spaces, and concept of infilling the current gym because it's at a different level. This is at Turner. One of the problems that we realized happened when Turner was redone, that we didn't have enough specials, which we needed to have more smaller rooms. And so what we're trying to do is really cover all the possibilities. So, you know, this does not exclude renovating Kelly. This is just to make sure we do our due diligence for this. So we have an updated schematic design review, an auxiliary gym. This is at Turner now. Increased the amount of specials room and storage, because that's another thing that's lacking at Kelly, and also to build the cafeteria out to accommodate more of the kids. So we asked the board to just please prepare questions, suggestions in advance of the next meeting. The next meeting will be in September on the 5th, and 10, which is working with, along with Bill Cray, it was actually his suggestion. They will tell us what the cost is going to be, and also what advantages we will have with going forward with energy savings and all that kind of stuff. So I said this is just one other possibility, one other stone we're overturning, but it will help them make a decision at the end. So.
What time are y'all committee meetings again?
I'm sorry?
What time do you start those meetings?
Generally, we've been doing them at 5:30. This one got moved because there was a conflict this month.
Taj is
Questions?
present now.
Hey, Taj.
Hi, Taj.
Hi, Taj. Were there any questions? I'm sorry.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so everyone's here. That's good. So we have a full board. No questions for Dr. We'll move on to the safety and security meeting, but we didn't have one this month, right, Michael? So
Next month, we moved into first Wednesdays.
First Wednesday. Yeah.
The-
That works for you?
Yeah.
we are moving it to the first Wednesday?
Mhm.
Okay. And at what time?
Same time. It was 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
Mhm.
Okay. One thing, just so you know, with all the insurance stuff that we have, that we want to kind of integrate all of the things that we need for our insurances to keep our costs down with the safety committee.
Okay.
So the addendum may look a little bit different, but we want to make sure that we have that kind of, we get credit, and we have to keep minutes and have agendas and things like that for that, but then we can get credit with our insurance.
Oh, okay.
That's for like we were talking earlier, like making sure cords are put away, safety
Yeah,
within the
like this
workplace.
Mhm.
Yeah, insurance company brought it up.
Just, and any incidents, just going over incidents, just to say how they happen, and then how do we prevent them from happening in the future.
Okay.
So we're gonna be adding on to your committee.
Motion carried.
Policy committee. Monica,
Hi, I'm driving, so Joe, would you be able to go ahead?
Yeah, it's no problem. Just taking a look at the policy tonight. They're all first readings of, and all in the 600s, 601 to 606, and policy 221, dress code. We were looking at the PSBA recommendations. Of course, I said, just some of the things that we looked in there. Some of the comments that Matt sent back to me too, making sure we have the consistent language, whether it be business manager, director of finance, however that wording is. So I had to go in and make some changes there. There isn't a lot of, and you'll see if you looked at the current updated ones that are attached, there's really not a lot of change. The major change was in, what was that, policy 603, I'm looking at it right now. No, 604, budget analysis. That's the one that had the most changes. As you can see, when it's in bold, those are where all the changes are. So that's the one that had a ton of changes in it. The rest of them are pretty basic, some wording in there. Policy 602, delegation of responsibility. We added the comment with the facilities director, so the superintendent and the business manager, director of finance, with the facilities director will prepare a long-range plan for annual maintenance and replacement of facilities. Also, there's a section in there with current and future technology needs on policy 602. We did add in there with the technology coordinator, because we shouldn't be doing that without their input. So we did put that in there. And let's see, phone for sentence, 600. It was just, that was the basic stuff there that Matt said. And you'll see the dress code policy just leaves us some flexibility as to what we need to do every year in the student handbook. Because it was very, you'll see the old policy was very rigid, black and white, and there was no flexibility each year in the handbook. So we took the PSBA recommended policy. So if you compare it to the previous policy, you'll see a big difference in them. But once it's in the policy, it becomes then a process to make any changes in the student handbook. That's pretty much it. And if you get a chance, I did learn how to, I uploaded the actual document. You don't have to click on the link, so you can actually take a look at those. And again, this is first reading, so we still have, you can send them back to any information back to us or bring it to the next meeting as well.
Policies 601 through 606 all deal with on the fiscal side, and a lot of them have to do with pretty basic stuff, how we adopt the budget, things like that. We're waiting once we get a director of finance on board to start going through and updating some of our other finance policies to make sure that they're current. We thought it was a good time to review those. Any questions for Dr. Joe or the policy committee? Okay, move on to curriculum.
We had a guest this month. It was Mr. Paul Jones from the State Parent Advisory Council to talk to us about parent engagement. During that presentation, he was talking about how we need to meet parents where they're at. Things like having donuts for dads, letting parents know that they can be assisted with getting their clearances so they can come into the schools, making the environment more engaging with them to where they're at, right? He had some ideas about how parents like to be engaged and what might motivate them to be engaged. Things that are like, giving titles to parents, like you get a room captain or whatever, and then creating a sense of competition among the rooms. Whatever parents are the most involved that month, get a pizza party. And something to keep in mind with something like that, our Title I funds are for parent engagement. They're marked for parent engagement. So anything that we're talking about in terms of parent engagement, we have funds for that. And he also talked about how he's available to the principals to work with them for any type of presentation they might need, but he'd also be interested in setting up parent resource libraries at the two schools. So that parents can actually get information about what are their rights as parents, what are they, what is engagement, how do they get engaged, all that kind of stuff. The items that you'll see for approval tonight that were discussed there are spring math. That is for grades 3 through 6. It's intervention support there, and we wanted to know if that was complementing what Envision was already providing to us. And so we had some questions about like how they fit together, since they're not the same thing. Like, or do they all those questions were answered for us about like, yes, this is an intervention. This is being given to kids that need that added support. Okay. CPI training, that crisis intervention training. So I don't know if you recall or not, but we had some of our staff go get trained on this. Now they are trained the trainers. They are coming back, but they are going to perform the training for all staff with the exception of nurses will get trained in this crisis intervention training, which brought up an interesting conversation about, is there something like this that's available to parents, which got us talking more along the lines of what we are offering. When we did the ESS contract, we talked about how that contract those professionals will also work with families, parents and families, for things like parent-child interactive therapy. At which point I was like, I've been through it, I'm going through it again. I would gladly talk to other parents who have questions about that. So like creating this environment of like parent mentorship, that was an interesting conversation that came out of that. And then Imagine Learning, and there was a pretty good conversation around, you know, are we getting the data that we need from this? So Imagine Learning is going to be renewed. We are renewing it. That is a 1-year renewal, right?
1 year.
1 year, yeah.
But we want to try to gather some good data this year to find out, is it effective?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and also talking with Imagine Learning too, to find out what resources do they offer to make sure we're implementing it to its full effect. You know, if there's anything that they suggest that we do to get better outcomes, right? I mean,
Yep.
like we're buying this package, let's get what we can from them to make sure that we're implementing it the best way. We talked about summer enrichment and the students that participated in that, and then also thanking the teachers that participated in that. So the students, actually, I don't have. No, we had a breakout by grade, and I did write that somewhere, and I don't have it in the notes, and I apologize, because they also had like daily average attendance per grade level, and we saw that there were really not sixth graders attending over the summer. They really did not. I think the average daily attendance was 1.5 for the sixth graders. But everybody else was over 5, every other grade level for
summer, okay.
for summer enrichment, yeah. And then that was average daily attendance.
Yeah.
It was right around 14 students that participated, that signed saying, yes, we'll participate, letters. I did, you know, outside of that meeting, get a little bit of feedback from one mom who was like, oh, it was an invite? I didn't know, but we talked about how there were 2 rounds of invitations. So there was a number of students that were invited for the first round. When they didn't get responses back from those students, they sent another round of invitations out. So there were quite a few grade levels where you could see there were 25 invites that were sent out to students. And then there was between 10 and 14 students that parents that signed to say, yeah, we'll come. So, and we saw that most grade levels were over 5 average daily participants, which is separate from ESY.
Maybe you could send that presentation, because it was just a short presentation.
I will.
out to the
I'll
whole
try
board.
to.
That way you guys can see what those
That
numbers
way
are
we
that we're talking about, because I just realized that they're not in there. I was not looking at that one. With ESY, we had 13 students that participated, and a really high participation of paraprofessionals too. So I want to make sure that, you know, they get their thank yous too, because it was at one point, I think she said nearly 1-to-1 with paraprofessionals and students that were participating, like, yeah, on some days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe did send me the names. I just need to have cards.
Yeah. And that was, you know, we talked just a little bit about like getting things ready for the coming year, like in terms of what can we do to try and get a calendar together, to try and get, you know, our agendas together so that we're prepared for what we need to be doing monthly, especially with having the reading curriculum that we're going to be, you know, this year is going to be the assessment of that. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to? Any questions about what we went over? Because, like I said, there are. Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed one thing I wanted to talk about was our Westinghouse student liaison. So we did talk about that in the meeting as well, because we are very interested in having a high school student that will come participate in the board meetings. That prepares them. That helps us know better what's happening at Westinghouse. It's a good relationship that we're looking to build there.
So I was going to save this for later for my comments, but I feel like now's a good time to kind of share. So when we went to the conference, I did get a chance to speak with a teacher from Westinghouse, and she was very explicit about how good our students perform when she receives them. She literally said, I can point out kids that came from me, and it's just by the way that they're performing in the classroom. And so one, that it was encouraging because, you know, we're trying to do so much to, you know, progress our students forward, despite what data may show. And I think that as you talk about having a student liaison, I'd be willing to think that that teacher would be helpful in getting something like that to connect. So I'll share a little more later in comments, but I just wanted to not forget that because I think that that's very relevant for curriculum.
That's a great contact to start making that contact, to get in touch with a student that would actually be interested in doing something like this. Because I know, Juanita, you had talked about like finding out that that was something that existed when you were a kid, you know, and just like how this opportunity really does show those students that we still think of them, we still keep them in mind and at the forefront, we still are concerned about their education too. And they can be giving us helpful feedback. I mean, they came out of our schools, you know, and they can tell us what's happening at that K through 6 level as a student.
And
Exactly.
yeah, and it makes me think about because as we get into just like the day-to-day of like, one, this isn't our full-time job, and two, we don't want to just like throw it at the wall and hope it sticks. Like, I think it just trying to get something like that started, it makes sense to get a teacher who's actually in the classroom with the kids that can say, these are some of the suggestions I have, and then whatever we may need to do to connect with parents. And it could be something that's done with like student of the month, kind of like the student of the month weeks. We can have the Westinghouse, you know, student present.
I think that's nice too for the student of the month to see like, oh.
And do them around the same time, right? So that there's that, when the parents that are coming, you know, because that's the day when we do have people in the audience. So we can use that time to hopefully give some kind of update about what's going on at Westinghouse. So I like that.
Good thoughts.
And then I have another curriculum question, but it's more so, I know someone who has a STEM curriculum that they want to, you know, share with school districts. It's mainly focused on more from like a medical field perspective, but what would that look like for that to, I imagine that will come to the curriculum committee, talk about it there, whether it's a presentation, questions asked by whoever's in attendance.
I think it probably goes through like the curriculum director first,
When
right?
summer comes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Got it, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I
And
want to
then-
get, she'll bring
yeah.
it, perfect.
So, because they're the ones that would evaluate, like, does this meet the standards that we're looking for? How can
Yeah.
we implement it? What are the resources that we need? And then they come to us in the
Got it.
committee to say, like, this is what we found and we like it, you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
will do.
And I had a question too. Does this at all have with parental you know, involvement? They talk about PTO, PTA kind of stuff, or no? Is
So
that a separate issue?
it's not wholly separate, but it's not their organization, right? So like
Right, right.
PTAs and PTOs are more like the national level things and they have their own kinds of missions. The State Parent Advisory Council is dedicated to what those Title I funds get used for.
I
And that's parent engagement, like direct parent engagement. You know, ways of getting the parents to actually like, what is parent engagement and like, what does it look like for you guys and how do we implement it in a way that parents feel like they're actually being engaged? Yeah.
It sounds like from that, then we could potentially see a PTO or PTA form
Right.
without us being the ones trying to do it, because we technically can't do that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I did have one more question, just because I wanted to make sure I was reading this correctly for the Imagine Learning, where it says Rachel replied that there was a 9% decrease for students who were performing below grade level. So I want to make sure I'm understanding that we improved by there being a 9% decrease in students reading
Correct.
below grade level.
Correct. So the
Okay.
change was from the beginning of last year's data to the end of last year's data. There was a change. There were fewer students that were reading below grade level.
Good.
I don't know if that 9% is how much it changed by. I don't think that's what it was. I think the change was, it went from 10%, I want to say, to 9%. I think she was gonna give us more detailed numbers. We had like a very like basic bar graph, beginning year numbers, end year numbers. And I want to say that
That was a question.
It was a 10% versus a 9%. So the change was there. There were fewer students that were below grade level at the end. But we wanted more.
More detail. No, I get it. That's why I wanted to ask just for clarifying.
And honestly, we hadn't even asked her for that. Like, she was like going above what, you know, she wanted to provide that, so that was in there, and we that started a whole conversation about, wait, are those numbers what we think they are? And then we started talking about those numbers, and that's where we started talking about, like, so what does Imagine Learning provide to us to make sure, what's like are we within the norm of what they're seeing with other institutions that are implementing this curriculum, right? Like, how do we compare against what they're providing to other people? What can they provide to us to make sure that we're implementing it in a way that, like, we're getting, like, is this what to expect when we buy this, right? Yeah, so that's what we're looking for from the principals, is to tell us, like, or, you know, Summer, when she comes back, to tell us, like, are we in the norm here? You know, how could we do better?
Yeah.
Are there schools that you have examples of that you can provide to us how they did better with your product, basically?
And what are they doing differently?
Right.
Yeah, we really want to get into all of the programs that we have and evaluate them to see if they're effective.
Right.
For us. So
Right.
that's the kind of data that we're trying to get in during the curriculum.
Yeah, because we're approving this for this 1 year. We can't have a gap, right? So it's like, yes, we continue on with this curriculum, but for this year, let's push a little deeper and see a little more about, like, should we be looking to change? Should we keep going with this? What's going on?
No, like, and I think what my mind is going to too, when we get that kind of those numbers, and if we are seeing that improvement, then that's something that needs to go to like AIU for marketing, right? When we're talking about good things that are happening, we're moving our kids in the right direction.
Right.
We can't say, oh, our test scores are at this level, but we can say from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year, our students have improved.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
We
did
just have to
not.
be clear.
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's something we need to start, like, making very obvious. Like, we are seeing improvements in students.
Yes.
It is happening, and that was something else that we talked about with summer enrichment. Can we start tracking the students that participated in summer enrichment, so we can also break them out as their own cohort and look at their growth throughout the year? Are they performing better as a cohort versus their peers?
Yeah.
Can we then tie that to summer enrichment? Yeah.
And our after school.
Yep. I think those are the two big ones, summer
Yeah.
enrichment and after-school programs. Are we seeing results from those? That's,
Clearly, yeah. That is like my favorite committee, and I'm not even like, I just participate, but I love the curriculum committee so much.
There's a lot that goes on there, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you. Any other questions for Amanda and the curriculum committee? Okay, then we'll move on to public relations and marketing committee. Comments?
Yeah, so we met on August 8th. It was really just an overview of beginning to work with AIU. Dr. Joe and I earlier that day met with Sarah McLuhan.
I don't know either.
Yeah, Sarah M. And we pretty much talked about, well, I guess I might have missed that. We were discussing, they were conducting interviews for the actual public relations and marketing person that would work with our district. We'll be sharing this person with Penn Hills. So we talked about messaging to the community. It needs to be more enticing. Our goal, of course, is always to bring back students to the district or families when they move here to know that there is a district if your child is pre-K to 6, that they could be sending their kids to, because people come to Wilkinsburg and think we have no schools. Newsletter, social media, maintain that. Also coming up with a communication plan. Ideally, I would love to not need to have a marketing meeting every month, because I don't think we need to have a marketing meeting every month. So when we can get into a clear plan of what's happening I think that'll just be overall helpful for the operations for us as a board and the time we've been spending on this. Weekly calendars, updates to parents, really streamlining things, right? I think a lot of what we're seeing now in the classrooms is it depends on your teacher, what you're getting at home from the parents. And so what does that look like to provide our teachers with a more streamlined process and look for whatever is happening throughout the week, throughout the school year, because we do a lot for the kids. So promoting our music education, our Spanish programs, the small classroom sizes. Sarah will meet with the administrative team to get additional ideas for promoting the district because, again, our staff does the work so they can give the best of what are good things to entice our community. And then just an overview of all of our social media outlets, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Are we on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Yeah, LinkedIn, so all of those things, and having consistency. I think that's just a reoccurring thing. That's really what we want. And then that's what we discussed with Sarah. So then Dr. Joe and I met with the committee. We reiterated everything we discussed with Sarah, talked a little more detail about how we can give things to our teachers, templates for them to be using when they're creating and sending things out, so that we can also have a little bit more, I don't know what word I want to use, but we just want our families to take us seriously when they get something in the mail and not always think that their actual kid made the message that they received at home. So little things like that. I'm reading the notes. Thank you, Cindy. Monica also suggested teachers and principals continue using text messages for communication for parents, for homework, school events. We reiterated that IU should develop a communications plan. We also pull in all of the things that she's been using. So we need our passwords for all of our sites, whatever contacts that she has used in regards to connecting with our district. All of the pictures that have been taken, those are pictures that we can continue to use. So getting those housed in one location. And Miss McLuhan, Sarah, will attend the ILT meeting on August 15th. Joe, if there's any updates from that meeting that you may want to share, please feel free. We did discuss our website as well. ILT meeting?
She wasn't at that meeting.
Okay. So we know currently our website isn't the most user-friendly. So we did go through looking at other districts that the IU is currently working with just to get an idea of how other districts are, their layout is for the website. So Stowe Rocks, Duquesne, Riverview, Northgate, and Still Valley were some districts that we were reviewing. And Dr. Joe advised that he would message Kelly so that he can have a clear transition plan, which ultimately is making sure we can get into all of our stuff when she is no longer here.
Yeah, and she's already provided. She's done a good job on the transition so far and still working and doing a lot of work. She's been doing a lot of work. She's provided passwords and logins, but and I didn't mention it at the beginning, the PennDOT thing, we did last week. We got some good publicity from that, from WT&E and from PXI, I think it was. One of our students, I forget the name of the student, she did amazing jobs, probably like 4th grade, 3rd grade. She spoke very well, but Miss Hannah put all of that together and it turned out really well. So.
Thank you. And that is all that I have. Any questions?
Ashley, it said, any more reaction to the mailing we did around tax bill time? Has anybody, it's not just viewers, for anybody, has anybody gotten any more reaction to it?
People said, it was nice to get that the day before they got their tax bill. They thought, that was well planned, it seems. Well well timed. But
Joe got one email complaining about it, so that it would be better used to send it on email rather than to spend the money, on a mailing, but
Yeah, but everyone doesn't have an email or a computer
that's right.
or access. Yeah, we're always thinking about accessibility, and so
And we don't have the emails to everyone in the borough, like that's not
Right.
easy information.
And it did do, at least for the people that I talked to in my neighborhood, they read it. So they saw it, they read it, and they learned some things about the school district. So,
yeah, I received
That's-
messages too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they were all appreciative.
Yeah.
Oh, made me feel good about what I'm spending my tax dollars on. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
and one of the things that I think with Ashley's committee that we're trying to do is to create a brand. We talked about actually branding, and that's why with the communications, to have consistent communications with, with what our logo or whatever it is that our brand is going to be. But we've got to be consistent so that whatever comes out of Dr. Joe's office or from the board or from each schools, the principals, the teachers, so that it all looks alike and it looks professional.
And I did get a draft. I got a draft from Sarah last week, just a draft right now of her communications plan with dates, deadlines, things like that, what needs done.
Oh, good.
Joe and Ashley, it would be good to maybe get input from Sarah as to talking about branding, Deb. I noticed that sometimes we're using WBSD when forever we've been WSD. So it'd be good to find out their recommendation on what can we stick with in terms of the abbreviation that we use for the district in public. So we should pick one, I think, and maybe good to ask the IU about that.
I agree. We did discuss
Yeah, we
it.
did discuss that.
That's my fault, Ed.
And I think that, that's kind of like a us decision. I don't think it matters either way what we do. I think we just need to decide, are we changing to WBSD or are we keeping WSD and updating whatever Joe mentioned, however the state has us listed, because it's the state that has us listed as WBSD.
And maybe that's what we need to go by. It's our new brand, right?
It could be.
It's our official name.
Yeah, I'm okay either way.
Yeah, but no, you're right, Ed. And I think I've just been noticing little things too. One thing that has been consistent is like the cursive that's being used on like some of our letterhead, like everything. It's all cursive, which is cool. I don't think we need to completely change and be this new thing. I think there's some things we can maintain that we've done, but it's more of the consistency. And unfortunately, I don't think the community has really noticed the WBSD stuff yet. I think we've received a few things, and the teachers are probably getting things in different ways.
It's from
But-
Dr.
That's from me.
He's the one that rebranded it.
Because, and I think when we see it, we think of Wilkinsburg as if Wilkins and Burg are two words, and they're not. But it's like, no, it's Wilkinsburg Borough. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, we
I've heard the same thing.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Ashley in her committee? Okay, we will move on to finance. The finance committee, as you know, we did not meet in June. We did not meet in July, but we did meet in earlier today. And we met with Ara Ragazine, who is she's our contact person with JMA, and she's really the one that's doing all of our accounting work for us. She really kind of introduced herself to the committee. The only ones that were here were actually Denny and Ed and myself and Dr. Joe. But she talked about their role and their findings, right? So it took quite some time to get them up and running, even into systems with the passwords and getting access to things. And I think it probably took a good 2 to 3 weeks for all of that to be kind of like sorted out before they could even get into the finances. They've been finding we have had some issues with PSERS. that their payroll specialist has been working on with Carla, to get those, but it's quite a project, and it could take quite a while to get it back. It's taking us back to November of 2022 to get those errors corrected. One thing that's a priority for us right now is our federal grants. That the reports that were submitted don't actually go along with what's actually coded in ProSoft. So we're trying to get all of that coding and everything straightened out, so we know exactly how much federal money that we have and when we have to use it, because we know federal money has to be used usually by September 30th of the next year. So that's a priority for them. There was a bank account that had to be added to ProSoft. I'm not sure how or what happened, but it only had like $4,000 in it, but it wasn't on our books. Now I'm sure it was in the books, but it didn't have its own line for a different account. So they're very adamant that they're matching accounts to, you get a paper bank account and then we have something in ProSoft that matches it. It took quite a while to get the bank reconciliations done through June, even though they were caught up through May. And actually, there's still a variance of about $147,000. I think it could be outstanding checks. It could be some of those checks that were voided that we had that were reissued and never really canceled. But it takes digging and finding these things. There were some penalties that they were dealing with. They're looking at writing a request to reduce the penalty or make the penalty go away. The 1095s, those are the forms that have to go out about your health insurance. I'm sure all of you get them that says that you had health insurance. Apparently we hadn't been sending those things out for quite some time. So we're working on getting those addressed. I don't know if I should be saying all of these things, but then we're going to be hiring our finance director. It'll all be cleared up by the time you start. Yeah. So anyway, those are the things that we've found in this process.
Debbie's honest. Have you done that? She's honest.
With our financial statements, we did go through the June 30th financial statement. It's still a little bit of a work in process because we're working out these codes and these federal programs. But probably another week or so, we can get that figured out. So the good news is we're ending the year with a surplus. I just don't know how much of a surplus.
We like a surplus.
Yeah. So.
You
Right. And the other thing that we looked at, which we were really wanted to have an idea with our capital funds, with what we're planning with either a new Turner or an addition to Turner or the renovations of Kelly. We really wanted to get an idea of where we were. We really can't do that until we know where we are with the end of June. But I can tell you, don't have as much money as what we thought we would have. So this is where, as the committee meets again, we're going to have, hopefully we'll have some better numbers again, and have an idea of what we can. Yes.
Yeah, Deb, if I might, and at that point, probably sometime after that meeting at the beginning of September, we'll have to make a decision. At that point, I think we'll have all the data that we need to make a decision about which direction do we want to go in. In terms of providing expanded and just cleaner, newer, better space for the primary kids. And while you're on finance, Deb, I also wanted to say for everybody who hasn't been able to be there yet, I was really favorably impressed with the person that the company has assigned to us, and she's really immersed deeply into our numbers and the way things work. And she's really working really hard to straighten things out. There were a lot more. I was disappointed how much stuff needs to be cleaned up and straightened out. But she's into it. So I think we're in good hands.
I agree.
I was gonna say, so, in case I forget, we mentioned, if it helps the decision, I don't know, but, I spoke to someone recently that's very interested in buying Kelly School. So if that helps at all, you know, so,
Buying Kelly School, yeah.
yes.
Can we get that place?
Yeah.
Right, if that, you know, that we already have a
Sure.
buyer, very serious, another school.
Well, that's that's prime property over there at Kelly
I know, they wanna use it as a school.
as a school.
A charter?
What kind of school?
No.
It's Pucks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Private, so
okay.
they wouldn't
Right.
affect our two.
Right.
Okay, Pittsburgh Urban Christian.
Yeah, so they have a new, I guess he would be the, forget if he's the executive director or what they call, he's the new. And he mentioned that recently at a Rotary Club meeting. I was like, oh, I didn't know that, but they would love to buy that building.
Well, let them know we're not worried about it because we all got kids in it.
Right now, we need it. right?
We need it. But
Yeah.
just for the record.
And just so that, we did not talk about this in finance, but it just, when you said that, it just reminded me, Taj and Monica and I did talk to the two developers about this purchase of the high school, and we're gonna probably talk about that after our meeting tonight. But basically what we did is ask them for their best offer. We got clarification on the terms that each one are giving. Again, they wanted to go back and just clarify with their staff. So they're going to get back to Monica. And so hopefully, we can move forward with that. We'll have their best and offer in what the clarification means of all of it.
Derek did get back with me today, so I'll talk to you guys after to set up, see what your availability is.
Okay.
So he's ready to come back to give us whatever answer he has.
Okay, so we'll have something for everybody shortly on that. So, yeah, it's a lot going on. Any questions on finance? Good, okay. Joint Tax Committee, I don't know if we're gonna meet, we haven't met for a couple of months, so there's nothing to report. Parks and Recreation, any?
Mike sent out an email back in August the 12th. I don't know if you guys saw. I know Denny, I think
Yes.
you replied. Just to let us know that the summer rec program did end on Friday, the 11th of August, with face painting and pizza donations from Salvatore's. The activities over the summer included the science program from Pitt, CMU, and Alphasan. Had fire truck visit, county police force visit, a lot of participation, theater, pogo stick, and other activities. He has special thanks to Wilkinsburg Beverage, Salvatore's, I think CS McKee, and for some cash donations to support the program. So it sounds like everything went really well. I'm going to reach out to him and so he can give us a presentation. He did include some pictures also, and
Great, thank you. Forbes Road,
So I sent out an email late last month saying that there was no meeting for July. We meet in 2 days at 9:30. And so I looked ahead to the itinerary, just give you guys a heads up. There's really nothing that fascinating on it except for authorizing a general fund bill of $1.255 million from June to cover bills from June through August, and hiring a nurse or an LPN for the building. Outside of that, that's about it.
okay. No new programs or anything like that for the start of the year?
No.
Okay. Eastern area schools. We haven't heard about Eastern area schools
Eastern
for a
areas,
while.
well, actually, there was no meeting in July, so the next meeting will be Thursday of this week.
Okay,
But they're getting,
However, Deb, because there was no meeting in July, there was a matter that had to be settled by email to be ratified the next time we meet. And it was, I don't know, I think the cost of the roof came in a bit lower than budgeted. So the president and the solicitor were asking for an okay to add a little bit more money to that and to complete the entire roof project. And it seemed to me that the whole board was in favor of that. So the solicitor was going to go back to the contractor and see if we can't make that happen. So it might be that we get an entire new roof over there, not new, an entirely renovated roof over there instead of just the two areas that were the worst and leakiest. So that would be great news.
That would be wonderful news. Wow. Wow, look at that.
After how many years?
After how many years, yes.
6 years? I don't know, Debbie, when were you on that board? It's been forever.
Way too many years. And the roof, yeah. Well, thank you. Any questions for any committee questions? Okay, well, we can move on then to the voting part of this, and let's go to the approval of the minutes. Board action is requested to approve the minutes from the July 25th, 2023.
So moved, Ed.
Guys, I'm driving, so can someone vote yes for me? Or Jermaine, can you vote yes for me?
Yes. Thanks, Todd. Okay, looks like the motion passes. Thank you. Go on to the treasurer's report.
Board action is requested to ratify and confirm the August 2023 general fund payments of $1,150,441.80. Wire transfers in the amount of $510,570.58, and capital fund payments in the amount of $25,927.
So moved, Debbie.
Ed seconds.
So yes for me as well.
Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to personnel items. Again, this is part of the consent agenda. So I just want to, I'll go through each person if anybody has any questions.
Hey, Deb, I'm sorry. Before you start that, did somebody change the mic or the sound or something? It's really hard to hear you again.
No, but I will talk.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now? I was looking in the opposite direction. Sorry, Ed.
Yeah, now the whole neighborhood can hear you. It's great.
Okay.
I think it was like there was static or something, so that's,
Yeah.
but now I don't hear it as much.
So under the personnel, we have a substitute custodian. Board action is requested to approve Marsha Robinson as a substitute custodian at the rate of $17.50 per hour, effective date July 17th, 2023, to be paid from the general fund. We also have 2 elementary teachers. So we're looking for board actions requested to approve the following elementary teachers pending all clearances. Shannon Berry, step 1 with a bachelor's degree effective August 21st, and Tertia Tokarski, another step 1 with a bachelor's degree effective August 21st. We do have Shannon here this evening.
We got another Tokarski.
We are looking for approval to hire Taylor Earl as a pre-K teaching assistant at the rate of $21.29 per hour, effective August 21st, to be paid from the pre-K counts fund. We're looking to approve Jennifer Reichpritz as a building substitute at a step one rate per approved MOU effective August 22nd, 2023. And those are the people. Does anybody have any questions or discussion items on any of those people? Their all of their resumes, if we had them, should be attached there for you.
Yeah, Tirsha's been working with us for a couple years now at Kelly, so she is under one of the new programs with the state with her bachelor's degree and so on. And of course, Shannon. So she was an impressive risk. So both these teachers know our school district and been with us for a little while.
We're looking at the administrative salary increases to approve the attached salary increases for the administrators per the attached document retroactive to July 1st. Again, we had talked about these in executive session before, so we're just making them official. We're looking at request to approve the FMLA requests for Carrie Ingram and Allison Manoy. Carrie is beginning November 6th through February 5th, and Allison is beginning November 28th through March 26th. Any questions on those two? And then item number 7 is we're looking to approve board approval to approve a 3-year contract with Beth Ann Height as the Director of Finance and Operations at an annual salary of $110,000 prorated for the 23-24 school year, effective October 23rd, 2023, maybe before, maybe, pending all clearances, and that's to be paid from the general fund. So those are the personnel items. Just so you know, one of the things we're talking, I know we're trying to always get more efficient, but what I'm looking for the September board agenda, instead of listing them all, I'm just going to have one item for personnel, and it'll be on one attachment with all of the things listed. So we don't have to go through each one of these motions. It's here, we're voting on the attached personnel.
Deb, by the time you're finished with these efficiency moves, we're going to be down to a roll call, a vote on something, and then a motion to dismiss. It's wonderful the way you're moving along.
We get the kids in here, yeah, we get the kids in here, and that's,
Yeah.
you know, we spend the time with presentations and kids.
Well, we have a personnel committee starting that too.
We are. Today, actually.
We were.
I mean, if we shrink it down to like, here's the hires, then we know it came out of committee, it would be nice, right? I mean,
Well, should curriculum and personnel be together?
Yeah.
no.
That was a heavy joke, but yeah.
No, I don't think so. So, actually, the personnel is not a public, it's not a public thing.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I was just joking. I like curriculum.
So under the next consent items would be the board committee actions. And Amanda has already mentioned the 3 things that the curriculum committee is recommending. And that is to approve the purchase of the spring math intervention curriculum for Turner Intermediate at a cost of $39,5750. The CPI training and supporting materials at a cost of $4,004, which will be paid by the PCCD grant. And renewing the purchase of Imagine Learning at a cost of $29,900. Does anybody have any questions on any of those 3?
The spring math doesn't specify where it's being paid from.
Yes, you're right. Okay, that's probably going to be paid from probably ESSER funds, yes?
Spring math, we can use ESSER funds for that.
And did they save that document and spell Wilkinsburg? Randall.
It's probably.
No,
I
I
gotta see it.
It's in the title. I'm sorry, I didn't pick that
Yeah,
up. I usually pick
My
up
guess
the-
is it came from that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
assumed-
see it.
But yeah, just because the other two have.
When you click on it, it's not right. Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna make that change right now.
On the invoice though, it's spelled right.
It is.
Yeah.
On the invoice.
They won't get paid.
I bet.
So there, I just made that change, thank you. And it'll roll over to the minutes, we don't have to worry
Oh,
about that.
no.
The last of the consent items would be the policies. The first policy 601, 602, 603, 604, 605, 606. Those are the ones Dr. Joe had already went over. Those are all the fiscal ones. It's just the first reading. So we're going to be looking to approve the first reading of policies. I recommend that if you could, they're really short policies. If you can, if you have any thoughts, just, send them to Monica or Dr. Joe. And the policy 221, which is the dress code, that also is the first reading.
What was changed in that?
Pardon me?
What was changed in that?
It was less deep. If you look at ours, it was like 2 to 3 pages long. If you look at the original, so there's no flexibility to change anything year to year for the student handbook.
Mhm.
So that we went with the PSBA recommendation, at least leaves the flexibility in case we have updates to the student handbook or changes, things like that.
We
So-
talked about gauging parents on how they feel about the uniforms and getting opinion, getting feedback on parents' thoughts on not having uniforms for the elementary schools.
But as of now, nothing has changed with the dress code policy.
Yeah, nothing's has changed per se as the policy. It's just, what we
They're
were
not the
doing.
policy.
Yeah. So it's just more flexible policy in saying where will we approve? And then we get to say in the handbook, here's the approved items, basically.
If you get a chance, take a look at the old policy, then take a look at the new one when you get a chance.
Yeah,
It just says.
Since it's first reading.
Mode of dress and manifestation of personal, in grooming is personal style and individual preference. That doesn't really sound like we're telling them what to wear.
What to wear. That's why we want everybody, it's like the first reading with the PSBA, so, yeah. So there might be people find something that's contradictory to what we're doing. Is that the new one or the old one?
That's the one that's in the itinerary. It's only 2 pages. Well, it's really only a page.
Yeah, it's only a page.
it's shorter. The other one was more specific, but we didn't want the policy to be as specific as what the procedures manual that we, send out to the students. We wanted to have flexibility with the policy so that when they do the handbook, the student handbook.
Flexibility is always a good thing.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing you did when you looked at it, and then going down to it allows the schools still to do the standard dress or uniforms, but it's weird when you see the purpose, it kind of contradicts the what's down below.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
Well, we can look at the wording of that. We
Yeah.
can change the wording.
Yep.
Any questions there? If not, we'll move on to vote on all of those consent items above. So we'll go to item J, number 1. Board action is requested to approve the following consent items, section G, personnel items 1 through 8, section 8, board committee items 1 through, it says 1 through 4, it should be 1 through 7, or 1 through 3, and section I, policy items 1 through 7.
So moved, Ashley. Second, Juanita.
Can you mark yes for me?
So we officially have a 2 new Yeah, we coordinated with the black and the yellow here. You didn't even know it. You have a bond already.
Right?
Well, her name's not Amy, which I called her at the very beginning, which so
working at Turner, so I will be working for 5th grade now. I'm really excited for this opportunity to
It's a
continue.
good team.
I'm really good team. I worked with them with transitioning kids last year, so I'm already familiar with who my coworkers are gonna be, and I'm excited for it.
Well, welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
glad to have you. Beth Ann?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm really excited about coming to Wilkinsburg. I really am intrigued by the model that you guys have here, K through 6, in your partnership with Pittsburgh Public Schools. I'm very excited to dig into the numbers and get things caught up here and lined up and make sure that we get all the grant money we can.
Yes.
And lower that charter bill.
Yes, I get it.
So yeah. So that's top agenda items for me. Yeah.
Thank
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background? I mean, she's really has an interesting background. She had the last, 3 years you've been in education, but prior to that you were.
I was working with a finance manager for an architectural firm, and brought them through
Architectural firms?
Yes, I have a lot of people there. I've
see
worked
what you
for
did there,
DBBN and R3A architects, and I guided them through the pandemic, which was really difficult. It's a small firm. We secured 2 PPP loans and got an EIDL loan to survive. But it was difficult, and it was wearing on me because all those families were depending on me to have the financial plan to keep things moving forward. So my sister is a business manager, and she said, are you ready to keep track of the money instead of collecting it? And I said, yeah. And so then I started looking at education, and really had an incredible opportunity at Ambridge with a very, very seasoned business manager who mentored me through the first year of my work there, and really, brought me up to speed very quickly. We met 4 hours a day, every day for that first year, and that really ramped up my learning curve significantly. And I've been working. We've got ESSER money, and we have a $10 million charter bill in Ambridge, so I'm very familiar with the PDE, very familiar with talking about funding sources and making sure that those are all being tracked on the budget so that we can definitely make sure that that form comes in where it needs to be. And of course, ADMs come into play too. So, and that's with your PDF. So that's another area that we need to really focus on too. Make sure those ADMs are tracking each child. Okay? They all have a dollar number assigned to them. Now that BEF and SEF is all based on ADM. I'm sure you guys maybe have some multipliers. I haven't looked at the model yet, but
I'm sure we do, but we don't know. But we're thrilled to have you here. We're just thrilled.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
So
Welcome.
thank you and welcome. Yes.
Thank you so much.
And do not feel like you have to stay. I know you both have to, we just have a few more things to vote on, but if you want to, you're welcome to. Okay, so we will move on to board resolutions K1. Board action is requested to approve the acceptance of the Ed Spaces Scholarship and a school representative to attend the 2023 Ed Spaces Summit in Charlotte, North Carolina, at a cost not to exceed $1,000 for transportation and miscellaneous expenses to be paid by the ESSER funds.
So moved, Ashley.
Second, Debbie.
Juanita.
Oh, go ahead, Juanita.
It's a yes for me.
Got it.
Okay, the motion passes. K2, board action is requested to approve Diane Wells to attend the Black Men in Education Convening Conference in Philadelphia on November 6th 15th through the 18th, 2023. There's no cost to the district, and it will be paid by the Teach Plus organization.
So moved.
Second, Dennis.
We did send a teacher last year, which we may end up sending the same teacher this year as well.
Oh, there we go. Is that, did you see pictures from that before? Was that?
Mr. King?
Okay.
Now, one question on why Diane Wells is
Yes, for
going.
me, please.
Yeah, through the Teach Plus, I know, I can't believe nobody asked why.
Oh,
why.
she's,
Yeah, with her being a Teach Plus organization, you know, out there, and she could do some networking while we're there as well. She's gonna be representing the Teach Plus.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Diane Wells, our special ed teacher at Turner.
Okay, motion passes. Item K3, approval, board action is requested to approve the updated 2023-24 ARP District Health and Safety Plan. Dr. Joe, do you want to talk about what has changed?
Yeah, there wasn't many changes. As you always, we have to do this every 6 months to get our ESSER funding. So the only thing that really has changed is some of the dates. And I added some things in there like COVID and pandemic or virus-related illnesses. I added and virus-related illnesses. Really, we're still going to follow CDC, Allegheny County Department of Health guidelines, but it's something we still have to do every 6 months. Other than those changes, the dates and adding virus-related illnesses, there really hasn't been any changes to what we're doing. We're still going to offer virtual instruction, mainly for our grades 3 through 6. But other than that, it's basically the same as what it's been in the past two at least.
So moved, Debbie.
Second, Ashley.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to ask, and this is not directly related, but could we maybe like let parents know that they can send masks, they can send their kids in masks, just because we are experiencing this COVID surge right now? I think we don't need to tell them like it's mandatory, but like just to let them know like.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay.
It also might be more likely than sending the kids sick though. Oh, just put a mask on.
Well, some of them are sending them sick anyway.
Yeah, that's
a good
point.
Do we have masks? We
Yes,
should
for me,
have-
Jermaine.
Got
We
it.
still have masks. So we should have them.
We can have for Friday as well. We have them at the school, so when they come in,
Yeah, we should have them there in case any student does want to, if somebody starts coughing or whatever, so that we have that.
I still wear them in
Perfect
small
timing.
places.
Okay, motion passes. Item K4. Board action is requested to approve the agreement and. So moved, Debbie.
Second, Dennis.
It's a yes for me.
I didn't see it pop up. Oh, there it is.
Motion passes. Item K5, board action is requested to approve the resignation of Lindsay Burton with the attached agreement.
So moved.
Dennis?
So moved, Dennis, yeah.
Second.
So it says that it's a consent vote. It was already voted on technically.
That should be consent.
Oh,
Yeah.
Blame that
Okay, we'll blame that one on Dr. Joe.
one. Yeah, definitely blame that
So
one.
I'll open it again and we can revote.
I just, yeah.
That's all right, we can, it's already voted on then.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And I'll mark unanimous.
Yeah.
So we ready to vote?
It
Right.
still gives us a vote.
Yeah, I got it pop up.
It popped up, but
Yeah, so do they need to vote on it since it wasn't read in the consent votes?
Yeah, I would have the board vote on it. If you're able to do that, if not, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a,
yeah.
It's open, so right now everybody is a yes. So I guess we can
it would
just,
be the same as what it was with the consent. So
Mhm.
I can fix that in a minute.
Yeah, it should be. That's okay.
okay. So that's still a yes for you, right, Taj?
Yes, she said yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Item K. Work-year MOU for certified support staff for the period effective July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2028. Dr. Joe, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, these are for some of our support staff people, our social workers, staff coordinators, behavior specialists. They usually work like right at the end of the year and beginning of the year. End of the year is usually sometimes collecting data, providing us some more information. Beginning of the year, for example, our counselors have to send stuff to PPS as well. At the beginning of the year, they usually coming in a week early, just preparing, getting ready, get documents ready. So it's just our support staff workers, such as, like I mentioned before, the coaches, interventionists, staff coordinators, so on. And it's May. It's only if we need them to come in.
So moved.
These dates, right?
Yeah.
Actually,
Discussion? I guess my question, Matt, was, should this have been part of our agreement, which is the regular contract?
Well, that's what the MOU does, is modifies that provision of the contract to add the SAP coordinator and the behavior specialist.
Okay, because it was not in the regular.
It was not in the agreement that we approved. This MOU modifies that one provision to make that change.
You can vote yes for me.
So this is a modification of the contract.
Correct.
Ed? Ed, are you still there?
He voted.
Yep, okay. Motion passes. We go to item K7. Board action is requested to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Wilkinsburg Education Association and Randy Davis for the resolution of a WEA grievance.
Second, Dennis.
Yes for me.
Did you put it in? See, this is supposed to be up there. It's
Down here. We can delete that one.
Yeah, go ahead and delete it. There is an item K8, but we've already
We're
talked
still waiting.
about that. That's twice.
Juanita.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm just going through something real quick.
So, Dr. So really, 8:30.
You can go ahead, yes. Trying to
She
finish
did
what I
it.
think is right. Did you hear?
See it, motion adjourned.
Absent
The
board
motion-
member? No absent board
Yeah,
member.
the motion, this one was approved. Do we have there's no public comments on non-agenda items?
I have fun.
Board member comments?
Sorry, I do have my last comment that I did want to add into
Okay.
the curriculum meeting. So I did want to overall talk about the State of Black Learning Conference that Dr. Joe, Rachel, give me your other teachers that were there.
Heather Mayu, Ashley Barnes, trying to think of who else.
That was it.
Yeah.
No, there was one more. Yeah, I'm still working on names, but I just kind of wanted to also bring up, there were some of our parents who were there. And when they saw our superintendent, our school principals, and some of our teachers there, it really meant a lot to them because
I know that for us as a public school, we do have a huge conflict when it comes to charter schools and charter school funding. I am 100% behind that fight to fix that and get that correct. But what I really appreciated about you all being at that conference and the connections you were able to make, the conversations you were able to have, the networking opportunities. When we talk about we need educators, I've mentioned you a few times, Amanda, how you show up at our meetings and all the time you wear, we need more Black educators. Spaces like that is where our school district can connect with people and potentially find educators who want to come here. These aren't just folks coming from Pittsburgh. There were people from out of state that attend this conference. And so I think that when we think about a school district like Wilkinsburg that is educating predominantly Black students, it means so much to our families to know that our teachers recognize that and understand the intentionality that needs to go behind how they show up for our kids in the classroom. And it's as simple as exposing yourself and being in community and environment with people who are different from you. And so I think that having parents just come up to me because they didn't even want to say anything to you all, right? They were like, Ashley, that means so much to me to see our superintendent at this conference. And so my hope is that, like Dr. Joe said, I would love for us to nominate some of our educators for their awards gala, allowing that opportunity for our teachers to, in a way, like prepare themselves and equip themselves with this kind of professional development, but also build relationship with people that are just different, because that's how you do better, I think, and learn better, by being around people that may be different from you. So I did just want to bring that up and also reiterate that we've been told by educators from Westinghouse that our kids are doing really good. Whatever we do is working. And yes, we can always be working to get better, but we're doing good work with our kids. And it's okay to also recognize a win sometimes, even when it might not look like it's a win, but that's a win when an educator can tell you, I know when I have a Wilkinsburg kid in my classroom. I would love a classroom full of Wilkinsburg kids. Like those are good things, not to diminish other students, but that just goes to show that this partnership and what we can do with it can continue to be better, can do more to build more relationships, because these are other educators that were present from other public schools, right? Yes, it was founded by a charter school, but it's not about charter school. It's about educating our kids. And you'll even catch in some of the presentations, and I've been there, when they call out the charter schools too, right? Because we know that there is no one person or place to blame when we see that kids are failing. So I just wanted to reiterate that, Dr. Joe, I can't thank you enough for just your openness, your, the way you show up and you want to be in community with people, and you show that every day when we get a chance to see you out. So I thank you for that, and encouraging your teachers to be a part of it. And whatever teachers may be listening, I hear y'all and I see y'all and I understand, but opportunities like that really can make a difference for how you are able to show up in the classroom for our kids. There was even what we discussed with some of the panels, and they mentioned, the scenario that happened in Montgomery, Alabama, something as small as that. It's so important that our teachers are aware of what that means, because if you don't know, you don't know.
And the 19 ratio, I think that's something that I learned there. 19, their belief is for some of those places, schools, 19 books of affirmation to 1 book of struggle. And the book, the guy who's selling books there, Nosa, and his son, and they just, it was a great resource on actually purchasing some books. We did purchase some books. And then listen, I just want to say thank you for recommending it. Hopefully we can get some more people there. It was a great conversations with some of the teachers there, some of the passionate teachers there. I did let Kate Chase Patterson know that I wanted to pull some of his teachers though.
Right.
So I did have some good conversations. Where they went, things like that.
Yeah,
They pulled a great male teacher Philadelphia, and I sat in the same session with him. I'm like, still in this guy, still in this guy. He purposely moved to Philadelphia because that's where he wanted to be. So it gave me some of the teachers heard they want to be specific school, and some they just didn't see it. And I'm like, well, why didn't you see it?
Yep,
We posted
talked
in the
about
same
that.
way,
Yep, yep.
but a lot of their hirings have been word of mouth, so it take down a lot of emails. So, but it was a good experience. We learned a lot. I didn't know about 19-1, and then the books, thinking about how we use our textbooks and which textbooks to use. One textbook that we sat through that I was listening to was Still Valley, people there, Urban Academy, and some other ones. But how to use that textbook as far as when students get in trouble to read it and reflect using that same book. Pretty good. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I appreciate it. We had a time at the gala.
We did. It was a good time. Yeah.
Sounds like it was a friends.
Ashley, if I could piggyback on what you said just real quick. I think next year we probably ought to promote the conference earlier to our faculty and staff. Instead, I think this year was kind of really late when we notified them, hey, if you would like to attend this conference, we'll pay for you, we'll sponsor you to go. Next year we had to start a little bit earlier so that we could make it a thing.
We can start now. I mean, I did send it when it first came out, but we also had a lot of things going on in the district that
Yeah, we did, right. Yeah.
that was at the top, but yes, very much so, and we can register now.
Yeah,
So
I just tell you.
I don't know why we couldn't make posters and put them in the teachers' rooms and stuff like that. Just be more out there about recruiting our teachers to attend. And just two things about PPS. We hear that comment that our kids stand out every year. We get one of those at least. You know what I mean? I'm glad you heard one, but we seem to get that kind of a comment about how our Wilkinsburg kids stand out at PPS every year. In fact, Dr. Joe, we heard it from the football coach, even about our kids stand out in that regard also. And so it's real, but it's real. I'm glad you got to hear that. And, it's part of when we were putting together the very first partnership agreement, one of the things Pittsburgh wanted in there was some language that said that, we were going to work, and we didn't mind it. We were going to work to make sure our kids were really well prepared to go to 7th grade there. And look how it turns out. Our kids are, not to brag on them too much, our kids are as well prepared or better prepared than kids who come up through the PPS system. So what you just said makes me, at least as a board member here, feel really proud.
And that's a credit to what you guys
Yeah.
have done over the last 10 years, making some of the decisions that you've got, that the boards have made, this board, previous boards. Of course, we did meet a reading teacher there the other night, talked about my Tyrese. And so it was enough. It was a good experience. And I did tell Kate Chase Patterson, maybe we can volunteer, because it was a lot of charter schools working it. Why can't we help work it? Because there's people from all over the country there. It's a great thing for the city of Pittsburgh too.
Yeah.
So having us come and help work it too, because I'm sure you could use the help.
Were there any teacher training programs or any kinds of how to strengthen the Black teacher pipeline sort of?
I didn't see anything.
No, because no, not in that matter. Because we need to do to strengthen it. We need to pay them more. So
Right.
I did when I was just in Jersey for the funeral. There is, and we can look it up, but there's like an initiative statewide for all teachers starting at $60K. So it made me want to just look at what is happening. Is that local? It's definitely not local because it was all of New Jersey, but what is pushing that, right?
Right.
Because, we do what we can when we went through our contract negotiations, right? But what is that next step? Because if we don't do more, we're not going to encourage young people to go to school to actually be educators.
I was just interested, if there's anything we can be doing in the K through 6 area that encourages our students to become teachers, like if there was any, or if they wanted to work on something as a presentation, right?
I was just about to say that that's an opportunity when the conference does begin to do outreach. They do request people to submit proposals to be a presenter. So that could be something that
It might be something we want to look at.
if we want to look at
And I think that, I think there was one session that I went in where I met the teacher that I talked with. It was about moving the data forward, because oftentimes school districts are faced with, oh, well, their test scores are low, right? And the way they talked about it in the session was like they put a board up, what do teachers create? A bulletin board. And it had every single month with color coding on how the students were doing. And she basically talked about, and that was the woman from Virginia. And she basically talked about, we can talk about the numbers and the data and how the kids are performing, but when you put it up on the wall and you actually see it when you walk in, it's like, all right, well, this classroom's doing this, and this month this was strong, but this month it wasn't. Like actually visually presenting that every single day, it can make a difference. So,
Well, that's exciting. And one thing I think John would surely go and be passing some things out. Maybe we can have some.
We can table.
We got some good contacts.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us as a district to be intentional on how we communicate that we care about our students, right? And we know the dynamics that we're facing across the state and across the country, but what are we doing to counter that, right? Because and then I guess the other thing too that I want to mention is Community Day, because we haven't been here. So Community Day, Dr. Joe was there. You weren't there. Miss Keevy was there. Oh my goodness, the number of kids that ran up to her and hugged her because they were so happy to see her. We need more of that, right? Because then the community sees. The community sees like, oh, the kids are going up to the table because they like the teachers that's there. Oh, ask questions, and we were recruiting a teacher there too. There's someone that's about to finish school, so I always try to, do that. I also want to thank you for your staff that showed up, because Ms. Keevy was great, and I think next year too, that's also something that can be, bigger for the district when we have Community Day, because there were a lot of kids there.
Was Miss Harris there too? I think she was, right? Because I think.
Yeah, Miss Harris did come, but she didn't work the table. She was just there.
Okay.
But she.
Monica was there.
Yeah, Monica was there with the CDC as well. But it was a good day, right? And I think it just provides a lot of opportunity for how, as you say, meet the people where they're at, right? So if Community Day is at Hunter Park and somebody had a birthday party, they didn't even know it was Community Day, but Community Day happened and they had their birthday party too, right? But there were kids, the playground, I've never seen that many kids at Hunter Park playground, ever. So
yeah, it was a great day, a good turnout. Yeah, so many of the kids. It was interesting for pointing out and seeing them come to the table and getting to know them, and they were so excited to get freebies. And so one of the things I noticed, a lot of stuff we had that to give out was like dried up and old, I don't know, crusty. So maybe we can step it up again a little bit.
I don't know what it was.
What did we give out?
Ooh.
You can tell me that.
Yeah.
I don't know. She did her best. Miss Keevy did her best.
Miss Keevy did a good job.
She pulled some stuff together last minute. I felt kind of, the kids didn't seem to mind. They were so excited, but I was just like, come on, we can do better.
And that's stuff we can work on with AIU as well, right? To be prepared for things like that. But
I think it was stuff like the PBIS.
Yeah, I think August was really good for us.
PBIS reference.
Yeah, those bubbles that were like dried out, nothing in them.
So, but sorry, I took us 15 minutes over, but
Well,
I thought those
that
were
was
good
very,
things.
yeah, it was a very good thing. It was a great way to end the meeting, actually. So, because it sounds exciting. I don't know, it's just filling me with excitement for the start of this school
And I
year.
can't wait for Friday.
So, we don't have any other board member comments? Okay, we don't have to accuse any board members. Everybody was here tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion, Ashley.
Second, Debbie. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. No, I'm going to talk to Matt.
Nope.
Not yet,
Executive
Matt.
session.
Not yet, Matt.